Okay,
got it. Hi, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. All right. I got some questions for you. Why is advocacy so important for women business owners?
Wow, that is a great question. And as you know, NAWBO, California, and all of our 11 chapters are very advocacy oriented. It is so important because we, the women, women and business owners, but especially women, because that's why we're all about NAWBO, is that we have the legislators' ears. They have our ears. They want to hear from women business owners. They wanted to know everything from how was business before the pandemic, how was business during the pandemic. That word that we used in 2020 about pivoting. Women business owners were the pivoters, and we were the major pivoters. And so advocacy is so important because legislation that affects childcare, family leave, procurement opportunities for women business owners, all of those issue areas that help promote our business, to improve the fact that we are the major expenders in the community, right? In California, it's not men, it's women. Women are the power buyers and and the jugglers of the world. So why is advocacy so important? Because now is the time to talk to members. They want to hear from us. What is it that small business women business owners need in the state of California?
Okay, that's great. That's great. So we know NAWBO has the ear of legislators. Why would it's kind of hard to explain procurement. Why would knowing about procurement be important to your typical, I don't like to say the word typical because none of us are typical, to an average woman business owner?
And that's a great question. And the thing is, the procurement is so important. And I do know that procurement opportunities for women is one of the priority issues, not only for NAWBO California and for all of our chapter members and for all of our chapter board of directors who also, are sitting on the board of NAWBO California, but it's also important to the Legislative Women's Caucus. Procurement opportunities, as far as being important to women, allow for more opportunities for women to contract with the state of California. Yeah. And these are opportunities that a lot of bigger companies have had in the past. And now, the Department of General Services, who does all of the buying for the state of California, I should say, when I say all, I'll be accurate and say 90% of the buying for the state of California, they're the ones who get these contracts out to the business communities. And they're sending them out to the bigger companies. Procurement is so important so that the smaller businesses can have that opportunity. The women's owned businesses can have that opportunity to bid on those contracts. And so it's another opportunity for women businesses.
Okay, cool. So when I hear about those opportunities, I hear the term a certain percentage of contracts will be for women, or the term set asides. I mean, what does that mean?
Yes, well, earlier this year, there was a bill, Assembly Bill 915 by Assembly Member David Chu out of San Francisco. And that bill was going to try to accomplish what what other legislators have been trying to do for the past 10 years. And it's actually more than that, 2006. Governor Schwarzenegger at that time put a goal. He did an executive order that basically said, our goal is 25% business, that the state of California will make sure that all of their contracts are with a minimum of 25% with small business. Well, a lot of the DGS folks thought, oh, well, there's no stick, right? The carrot is try to do the 25%. Well, if we don't do it, there's nothing wrong with it. And so we were finding that, you know, that we weren't getting those green lights on those contracts, and those contracts were continuing to go to these big companies, and they would bundle. That's another term that they've used, is that a bunch of different contracts are out there, and the big companies come in and grab all of them, and they bundle them together and say, this is what we're doing, when those contracts could be split between all of the small businesses. And we're talking multi-million-dollar contracts. And, you know, very, very lucrative for small businesses and women, especially women getting into the procurement, area of business. That bill, unfortunately, did not get out of the fiscal committee because of the cost to implement. I know that bill will be introduced again. It was sponsored by the California Asian Chamber of Commerce. NAWBO California supported that bill, along with our, local chapters also sending letters in. Every year, a legislator puts that bill forward every year since 2000, I want to say 2008 or 9. They've tried to codify that executive order by Schwarzenegger to make sure that we have the procurement opportunity. I think next year, what needs to be done is that NAWBO California and the other, sponsoring, well, I should say Cal Asian Chamber of Commerce, who was the sponsor, and NAWBO, we need to sit down and talk with DGS leadership and basically tell them this is an important bill to women, and make sure the bill does not get stuck in the fiscal committee, because that's where the bill met its demise, despite the fact that the bill was voted unanimously out of the assembly committees on a unanimous vote, and then to be held back. So I think that there was some shenanigans going on, done behind the scenes to not allow that bill to go forward. So, we need to try again. Sometimes it takes a year or two, or one or two different attempts to get your bill to the governor's desk.
Well, yeah, sounds like tenacity is a part of advocacy.
Yep. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. You need to coin that phrase.
Okay, you could take it, because I want these contracts. Go, flourish. So my last question for you is, what would you tell a brand new member of NAWBO about advocacy?
Brand new member. Well, we have lots of new members, and I love working with new members of NAWBO, because you get so much information, from what they're doing in their industry. And the great thing about NAWBO is that we are so broad and so diverse. And you've got women that are, in biotech and manufacturing and engineering, and, historically have been male dominated fields. Lobbying, I remember back in the 80s, it was predominantly men. Now women rule the lobbying world, and so does NAWBO. NAWBO, rules the advocacy world, women's issues. What would I tell them? I would say, come on board, get on board with us. There's a picture right over my left shoulder, if you can see that one. That was signed by Governor Brown. That's Senate Bill 826. And in that picture, there are a group of about 15 NAWBO members, some board members. Those women, in addition to the 100 or so that came to Sacramento when that bill was being heard. This was the bill that allowed opened up a seat for a woman on the board of a publicly traded company. That was by Senator Hannah Beth Jackson. And so that was a bill that we worked on in 2018. There was a ton of opposition, but we were able to prevail, and women were strong. And they just said, the dial isn't moving. These guys are on these boards for career, their career. Then when they're getting ready to retire, they bring on their best friend, or they bring on their golfing buddy, or they bring on their son. They don't bring on their colleague who's a woman. So the dial wasn't moving. So Senator Jackson said, it's time to stop being nice and saying, would you add a seat for a woman? Now it's, you're going to add a seat for a woman. So Governor Brown and his wife, Ann Gus Brown, signed that bill. So that's what I was saying. It was a fun bill. And that's what I would tell women that are joining NAWBO is, come have fun with us. Let's make history. Let's do great things for women, and you can be a part of it. You are, every single vote counts. And I know you guys have heard that a gazillion times, but it is true. It's true, because each one of the women in that picture have a piece of that bill, you know, in their
Oh,
heart.
that's so cool. That's so cool. So speaking of having fun, you know, I want to thank you for being one of our speakers at our November 4th advocacy event. That's called Advocacy Starts With Us. Learn how you can help improve the contract landscape for women business owners. That's a mouthful, but you get the point.
That's
So
right.
thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the 4th.
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I turned off the recording.
Okay, and that was
Okay.
about 10 minutes. So I think we're good. I think Jill's gonna be happy.
Oh, it's still recording. Let's see. Stop.